Hello everyone, Simon here with a review of EarthNight. EarthNight is a procedurally generated endless runner game, but to call it just that would be a huge disservice to the game itself. EarthNight is available on PC, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4, and it's a PS4 version you see on your screens. The game takes place in a world where flying dragons have swarmed the Earth, controlled the atmosphere and are killing the planet. There's only a few protagonists left that can help, and we control two of them. There's an old man who's very handy with his trusty bat, and then there's also a younger girl who's very mobile and good with double jumps, dashes and landing on enemies' heads and splatting them. The game throws you into a roguelike gameplay loop, and you'll be using both of these characters at various points of the time over and over and over again. You'll start off at the top of the world's atmosphere and dive out of the spaceship and land on a dragon. You'll always land at the dragon's tail, and then you'll be in the endless runner section of the game, where each dragon is procedurally generated, and although it will always be around certain themes and parameters depending on the type of dragon you've landed on. And you'll run from the tail to the dragon's head, trying to survive wherever possible. You'll need to dodge enemies, you'll need to kill enemies, you'll also need to collect loot and power-ups as you go along throughout the game. And more of those will kind of become available and be upgradable as you progress throughout the game. And that's kind of the real pull to EarthNight, is to continually build up your arsenal of what you can do so that you can keep going deeper so that you can eventually kill everything and land on the Earth. The endless running level will continue until you reach the dragon's head, at which case you'll perform like a little mini game to basically stab the dragon's eyeball out, and then the dragon is slain. You will then leap off of the dragon and then go into like a free fall descending element of the game where you pick your next dragon that you're going to land on. And you might do that tactically, depending on the power-ups that you've got. Different dragons of different colours have different kind of themes of enemies and difficulty. So you kind of pick what you need to go for next. And as you slowly get through more and more dragons, more layers of the ozone will become available to you. And that will change up further the different types of dragons that you get. Eventually, you'll hit the point where you'll get into the proper hardcore dragons in the bottom couple of tiers, but it will take you many hours before you are capable of being able to survive and kill those dragons at the other side. As you're going through all of this, you'll be watching it with some of the 10,000 or more hand-drawn animation frames, and EarthNight is absolutely gorgeous to look at. And sometimes I'm just like a gawk going, it looks so pretty! It is so fluid in motion. And yeah, especially when you're transitioning from like one section to another. And that added with the really upbeat Scott Pilgrim Meets the World style soundtrack. Loved the aesthetic and the music side of this game. What kept me coming back though was the gameplay. And the gameplay is essentially, when you're running through these endless running dragon levels, you are collecting junk that you can then transform into water, which is your currency for upgrades for your characters. But it's not just currency that you're unlocking. When you get to the end of a dragon, when you take out the dragon's eye, that's also a currency for upgrades. And there are also dotted around 3 dragon eggs per level, which you need to pick up, which can also then become a currency for you upgrading your kit, your power-ups, what you can do, how many power-ups you can have, that kind of stuff. And what you'll see at the very beginning of the game is that when levels are procedurally generated, there's actually loads of white blobs, and that's where things could be if you'd unlocked them. And so it always presents you with this like enticing, ooh, I wonder what could have been there. And as you progress through the game, more and more of those start to fill up with all the different power-ups and combinations of things that you unlock as you go. Initially, you'll start off with a very, very small junk collector, and when you turn that into water, your initial thoughts will be, right, I just need to be able to collect more water to do stuff. You'll be able to collect more junk and have it multiply up with this risk versus reward system around how you kill your enemies. So if you was playing as the girl, which I personally found as the stronger of the two characters to play as, just because of how vertical the game was over time, what you'd need to do is jump consistently on enemies' heads and kill them without touching the ground, and that brings up your multiplier, so that then when you run through and collect bits of junk, instead of it being worth 0.01 litres of water, it'll become a 0.1. Or if you've got like really good power up and you've got like a 48 combo or something like that, then each piece of junk is worth tons of water to you. And then that water essentially you pump back into Earth so that people can drink. But then in rewards you get things like power-ups which enable you to double jump, to speed through faster, to have a shield, for example. There's also ones that like pixelate the screen, but in doing so add a 20 times multiplier to your junk income. So some of them actually make the game harder but give you a reward for doing so. They stay with you as part of power-ups that you can collect, so you don't just have them for a run, for example. They stay with you permanently, but will just generate randomly in the procedurally generated levels as you go along, so you might not necessarily see them straight away, but they'll be there. Also, big shout out to the dragon that has the rideable animals on them. I found that particularly fun and revoked a bit of old Streets of Rage for me, when you used to get on board with the dinosaurs and then like swipe the tail. Very similar feeling to it. But yeah, what I really found was that actually this power-up selection got deeper and deeper, because I was like, oh okay, there's only about 12-16 power-ups to begin with. Once you then get all of those by killing various different types of dragons and combining all of the occurrences together, it then unlocks another layer where you could actually like cross-pollinate different power-ups. So it could be that you had the double jump boot could also give you a speed boost, or it might be that the bat also then allows you to double jump or something like that. There's all different varieties of them, and so I found that the further you got into the game, the deeper the mechanics got, which then made you be able to fight some of the later on dragons down the track, because quite often, especially if you're being sneaky and dodge around different dragons, you'll be able to get much further in the game than you any right should be able to, but you'll never actually be able to kill the dragon because you don't have the power to be strong enough to get through some of its hellish final dragons. The only downside that I have to this game, and it's more of an advisory one more than an actual real downside, is that EarthNight is best played in short doses. The gameplay loop is quick, but that means that it gets repetitive, and whilst it will continuously show you new levels and new ways of doing this, getting around the dragons, it's the same 12 to 15 odd types of dragons that you'll see over and over again, and particularly in the early levels. You will always have to face like the purple dragon is always the first one that you go for, and then you'll always have like a red, white and a blue one, and then the black one, and then there's like progressions. It's almost like a family tree of dragons that you'll have to go down, so you'll see the same types of ones an awful lot, and then like occasional rare ones hidden around for you to get later on further down the game. So I don't want people to kind of burn out early on with this game. This is a game that gets better the more that you put into it, but you need to put into it in small doses. So with that kind of random side note to one side, I've absolutely loved my time with EarthNight. It is heavily recommended. It's easily one of the best endless runner type games that I've played. The roguelike element and the procedural generation work an absolute treat. I do recommend probably playing with the girl more than the man. Just because I found that the man was underpowered when it comes to beating things up compared to the girl, who is much more dexterous, and she has a dash like stage dive move which can also kill enemies, which just made her the easier choice for me. Aside from that, go grab. This is a hidden gem. You'll love it. Take care. There's a review already over at higherplayinggames.com where I'll be scoring this an 8.5 out of 10. Cheers. Bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.